Hi, I'm Colin from Thames Valley Motorhomes, and today I'll be doing a handover on the Swift Distinction 664. So coming down the driver's side of the vehicle, you've got your fresh water fill up point here, which opens with the little key. You lock and unlock the filler cap there, put your hose pipe in there, fill till the river overflows until you're happy you've got enough water on board. You can see how much water is on board on the main control panel on board the vehicle. And if you couldn't get a hose pipe to the vehicle and you can get a bucket or an aqua roll, there is a 12-volt submersible pump source here where you plug in, put the hose in there and drop the pump into the water, and it will suck the water on board. Below you've got your fresh water drain tap, so if you're filled up with contaminated water or you've want to drain down in the winter, you'd open this up, and open these up on the Swift. It's above the control panel as well. It's electronic dump valve. You've got your two fridge vents. Then you do have your external shower, so it will just fit in there. You'll get a fitting that fits on board the vehicle, and the other end of the hose will be a trigger gun. As long as the pump's on, you'll be able to hose the dogs off, the boots, the bikes, the kids. And then you've got your wastewater, so anything you've put down a plug hole goes into a separate holding tank. You drive over a grid on the way out of your site, and again you would press the button above the habitation door next to your control panel and it will drop it electrically. At the back here you've got your cassette toilet. Again, opens with this key, so you open it up, and then to get it out, make sure the blade and the bottom ball of the toilet is closed, and you'll be able to lift and slide it out. You then have a handle so you can drag it around the site when it's full, and it's empty. You take the cover off, press the button, tip it out. So once you've emptied the cassette, you then put some water in the spout and give it a quick rinse, and then once you have rinsed it out, if you then top it back up with chemicals, so you'd use a cap full of liquid into here, fill it up, and then put it back on board of the vehicle, and then you can use the cassette. Coming around the back of the vehicle, you've got your high level brake light and bullet style reverse camera just above the Swift badge, and then you do have your bike rack, which you'd take the covers off here, so you just pull it down. You can adjust where these feet go, so you can slide them along the rails, just depending on where your bike wheels, how big your bike is and where your wheels sit. You then put these through the spokes and tie the bike down on front and back. Then you'd use this for the crossbars. This would be the first one, this one would be your second bike, and you'd tie the crossbars into there. Underneath you do have your parking sensors and your cycle locking point. You can tie onto here for your cycles when you've got them off the van. Then on the passenger side at the back you've got your external 230-volt socket. Then under here is your storage and your boiler, which I'll show you from inside, a bit more about your boiler. You've got your external gas point, so instead of carrying a separate bottle to power your barbecue or cannock, you connect on here with a gas spigot and some hosing. Turn on and off here, you can then use the bottle on board the vehicle. You've got your Truma vent cover, so make sure this is obstruction free as it's allowing all the fumes out from the boiler and water heater. And then you do have your LPG, so this is a gas locker. So on this model it has been fitted with a gas flow system from the previous customer. So what you do is you turn your bottles on and off, and you've got a gauge red to green, and then to top up, you top up here, you go to your LPG centre, your local LPG centre, put their fitting in there, it's like a bayonet fitting, pull the trigger back and press the button on the machine, and you'll see it start filling. Once it stops filling, it is then full. You've also got a changeover valve at the back, so you can change over from this bottle to that bottle, depending which one is full enough. And at the front you've got your mains connectivity point, so you hook up like so, lift the collar, hook the vehicle up, hook it up first and then go to your power source, and then obviously when getting ready to leave or unhook the vehicle, you'd start off at your power source and then take it out of the vehicle. At the door here you do have your lockable diesel cap, so fill it with diesel, it would work off the main ignition key. So you'd open like so, fill and then lock it. And then on the slam panel on the passenger door you've got your tyre pressure, so 5.5 bar all the way around, which is 79.5 psi. Your toolkit is underneath the passenger seat, which has got a jack and a brace and a torn eye in, so everything you need to change that wheel. And underneath the floor here, underneath this panel, is where your engine battery lives. On the side of the dashboard is your bonnet release. And if I have a quick look underneath the bonnet, so you've got your paint coat here for the Grigio aluminium. You've got your oil filler and dipstick, brake fluid, radiator coolant, which this cover would then lift off, and also releases the top up for your power steering fluid. And then you do have your screen washer in the corner there. And then if you ever needed to jump start the vehicle, you'd put your earth, which is your black clip, on there, and you'd put your red clip if you just put your key in there and lift up this cover so it unlocks it, your positive on there. So once inside the vehicle, you've got your main control panel, so you can turn on and off here. So it says power off, power on. It'll then tell you your leisure battery is charging if you are hooked up. If not, it will just be 12 volt. And as you can see here, these are your water levels, so you can see that we've got about 20 litres of fresh water on board, as we've got 1 bar, and we've got 0 bars on the waste. You can then scroll through system settings, heater settings, dimmer levels, so there's dimmer switches on here which you can set the dimming to, and they'll be underneath your cabinets. You've got your internal temperature of 19.3. Your tank heaters are off. If you wanted to turn them on, you would just press the middle button here and turn them on. So scroll and then the middle. Put them on if it's going to freeze overnight. It stops the water from freezing in the main tanks. And then you've got your battery select. You always want to select the leisure battery for the motorhome to run off and never the vehicle. And then this is obviously the solar panel coming in. Not a lot coming in at the moment because the hookup does take priority. The solar panel comes into its own when it's standing and not hooked up. You've got your vehicle battery, which is 13.4 volts. Your leisure battery, which is 14.3. Obviously we're hooked up at the moment. Once the hookup is taken out, you get a true reading of the battery, and then you get back to your main control panel. And on this side you've got your pump, which is put on to use your exterior shower, your interior shower, your kitchen tap, your toilet and your hand basin in the washroom. You've got your lights, so these are your lights. That's your dimmers, which dim the lights above the lockers there. So as you can see, they dim down. So if you press and hold, they'll then start dimming and off. And then you've got your on and light outside the vehicle. The lights then all are individually switched around the van. You've got your waste electric dump and your fresh electric dump, so you press them to open the taps outside the vehicle on the driver's side. And then to operate your Truma control panel, so to turn it on, you'd press and hold until you got this screen, and then you'd press enter, and here is your menu. So you've got your motorhome with your thermometer in, which is the temperature of the vehicle, all the way to 30 or all the way to off. So for this we'll just say 30, and then you press enter, and that's set that at 30 degrees. Moving further on, you've got your water with your thermometer, and this is how hot you want your water to be. So if you've got no water on board at all, don't put any water on. So you can have off, have it on eco, which is equivalent to 40 degrees of heating your water, hot, which is 60, and boost, which if you've got both heating and hot water on, it will turn the heating off and prioritize the water. Moving further along, you've got a gas bottle and some electricity symbols. This is which source you want to heat the van or the water off. So you've got gas on its own if you're wild camping. You've got a mixture of 1 kilowatt of electric and gas, Got a mixture of 2 kilowatts of electric and gas, which is both sources together. So in the winter you may want to use mix 2 to get the vehicle in temperature of the water hot in a hurry. And then you do have electric on 1 kilowatt, so depending on if you're on a 6 amp or 10 amp or 16 amp site, you may have to use different settings for the electric. So you've got electric 1, which is 1 kilowatt, and you've got electric 2, which is 2 kilowatts. So normally you can use electric 2 on all sites in the UK. Moving further along, you've got your little fan symbol. So this is how high the fan speed, how high you want it. So you've got an eco, which saves you 12 volt as it's a 12 volt assisted fan, or you've got on high, which if you hooked up you wouldn't need to worry about. Coming down to the bottom left hand corner, you have your timer, so you can time the heater to come on and off, but you can only do that once. You've got the clock, so if the clocks go back and forth you can change the time displayed on the control panel. And you've got the settings here, so if you ever got a warning triangle in the middle, what you'd need to do is go to the settings, go down to reset, press reset, it will then say preset, press it again and it will reset the boiler and control panel. Also on the habitation door you do have a full fly screen on the frame, and on the actual door itself, to cover the window, you do have a blackout blind. If you wanted to lock the door manually, this model is fitted with central locking on the habitation and cab doors, so it works off the key and the button on the dash. But if you did want to lock it manually, you just push this chrome catch in and that has locked the habitation door. So now in the kitchen of the Swift 664 you have your microwave, which is a 240 volt microwave, so it only works when hooked up, and you've got your plug just up here. Also you've got your solar panel regulator, so it's flashing green, which means it's charging. If it goes to a solid green, it means the battery is fully charged. You've got your plate rack and cup rack there. You've got your two 240 volt sockets, only works when hooked up, for your kettle and your toaster and your various other equipment. And then you do have 3 gas rings, like so. Once you have had them on, if you allow them to cool down before you put the glass lid down, otherwise you can shatter the glass with the heat. And then below you've got your oven, one way, like so, and the other way you've got your grill. So you may have to allow the grill to get warm before you release, just to allow the thermocouple to get up the temperature before you release it, otherwise it may go out. And you may want to take your grill pan and oven shelves out when travelling. You've got storage drawer below, and underneath here is just a very small amount of storage, because it's intruded by your wheel arch. Got some more storage here. Your gas taps for your fridge and your oven are there, so should you need to isolate gas at all, turn the bottles off just to be safe. These are mainly for when the vehicle is habitation serviced. You've got a cutlery drawer, and then now getting onto your Dometic fridge. So how to operate this, you turn on and off here, and then you've got 3 sources. So you've got mains hookup when the vehicle is connected to 240 volt, i.e. on a site or at home for charging. You've got gas, which it will then self-ignite should the gas bottle be open. And then the battery setting. The battery setting isn't your leisure battery, as it's not strong enough to power your fridge. It's a 12 volt feed from your engine alternator, which is designed to keep the fridge at the same temperature it was when departing. So the idea is, if you're lucky enough to keep this at home, you took it up the day before you went away, you put your shopping in, and then when you're all ready to start travelling, you can knock it onto battery. As soon as that engine's turned on, it will stop flashing and beeping, telling you it's failed, as it's getting the 12 volt feed, and it will keep the shopping nice and fresh until you arrive at your destination. It can either go back onto gas or onto mains hookup. If you did want to change, you just press. So we've gone on to gas, then we'll go on to battery. It's failed as we're stationary at the moment, and then you can go back on to 240 volt. Your temperature here, obviously 5 bars being the coldest, and that's just a reset button. Once you are finished using the fridge and freezer for the season, i.e. you're going to put it away for winter over the Christmas break, you'd want to clean your fridge out, leave nothing in it, and then the last thing you want to do is close the door, as it forms an airtight seal and any smells will get trapped in there and start growing mould in your fridge. But if you push this and slide this out, these two tabs come out, and what it does, it's designed to stop the fridge door from locking, so you can get your hands and your fingers down the side of the rubber, which allows air ventilation in and out the fridge. In your wardrobe area is where you'll find your status TV aerial. So what you need to do is loosen the nut off if you're struggling to get a TV reception. Push the pole through the roof, and then you've got a toggle there which you can direct the aerial to find the best signal where you are. A tip is to look where the other motorhomes and caravans are pointing on your site, and when you're travelling you need to make sure that the pole is pulled all the way into the van and it's securely fastened. And on the back here you do have a min and a max, which is your TV booster, so you can boost or weaken it if it is too strong or too weak. You've got your worktop for your table at the front, extension there, which I'll show you how that comes in handy in a moment. And then now coming onto your bed, so if you lift your bed up, this is your Truma boiler. Your Truma boiler holds 10 litres of hot water at any one time. In the winter it's very important that you drain every bit of water out the vehicle, so the fresh, the waste, leave all the taps open, as that gets any water that's in the pipelines out and stops any airlock. But it's also important that you drain this boiler down as well, as if the 10 litres was to freeze, it isn't covered under any warranty and it's very expensive to replace. So that's where this little yellow toggle comes in. When it's lying down, it is holding water. What you need to do is you need to flick it up. So come in with no power on, flick it up, stand it up on end. It will then drain all the water directly out underneath the chassis. Leave it stood up during the winter months, and then when you are ready to use it, lie it back down, fill the vehicle, shut all the taps in the vehicle, fill it with water, come in, put the power on, put the pump on, go to the cold side of the tap first. You'll get automatic cold water. Go to the hot side, it will cough, splutter for about between 3 and 5 minutes, and then once one tap is got full pressure, do the others, and then the system is all ready for the season prior to being winterized. Underneath the bench seat behind the passenger seat is where you'll find your EC500 unit, which has got your main system shutdown button on at the back, which says system shutdown, and this black button. This is to isolate the vehicle of any power drain during the winter months, so you can completely isolate it and the battery won't be drained for the leisure battery. You've got your charger and heating and hot water on 240. So this is just the feed, and then the heating and hot water is worked on the control panel above the door, and your charger is just a charger that charges the engine battery and leisure battery when you are hooked up. You've got your trip tester, which is your RCD in all your MCBs, so if you trip it out with a kettle or a hairdryer, try here before you try your main site supply. And then you do have the 12 volt fuses, which are all listed on the back here of what does what, so it would be a good idea to go and carry some spare blade fuses with you, just in case one does blow a fuse, so you can replenish the fuse. So once you've placed the table on the bottom arm, you would then slide this section out to meet the table, like so. And then you've got various infill cushions, so you put your bottom rest of the seat back on here, and then you'd use your infill cushions, which are in the wardrobe, to fill this space here. And then the backrest, which is on press studs as well. You just pull that off the wall, you put that in the middle to make the bed. So now in the cab, you do have your handbrake down to the right. You've got your electric windows, an electric mirror adjustment, so you'd adjust the joystick to which mirror you want. You've got two on each side, the top and the blind spot. To black the side windows out, you haven't got any Rimmers car blinds on here, but you do on the windscreen, so you'd use silver screens like so, like this, and obviously these would just press stud onto the window on the press studs here to black the side windows out. And then your cab windows, so your main windscreen, it's pinch, slide, pinch with your finger and your thumb, and then slide. If it is going to be a windy night, I'd suggest putting something around here, because it is only a magnetic strip that they clip together with. And then they just slot away like so. And then down to the right of the driver, you have your headlight adjustment and rear fogs. You've got your wiper stalk with your trips on, which does your miles per gallon, range, travelling times, distance travelled and so on, A and B. So that goes through the main screen there. You've got your lights and your indicators. Cruise control at the top, off in the middle, and speed limiter at the bottom. To set your cruise control, get up at the desired speed, i.e. 60-70 mile an hour. Put the cruise on and then push it up. There's a plus and a minus there. It then sets it. You'll see the little green light here come on, which means your cruise control's on. And then should you have to brake and turn your cruise control off, you can then press resume and it'll go to the last set speed. Mute, volume, hands free. This will scroll through your phone contacts, your radio channels and so on. 6-speed manual gearbox with uplift the collar. You can hear the reverse sensors there. If you turn the engine on, that beeping's just to tell us I'm hooked up at the moment, and your rear view camera comes on. And then in the middle you do have your hazards. This locks the doors on a night, so it'll lock the habitation door as well as the cab doors, as this model has got central locking on the habitation door. And you've got your heated mirrors, got a 12-volt and a USB for charging. The USB for streaming is here, so for your head unit for putting your phones in, USB and auxiliary. You've got your temperature on the outside ring, must be on at least one or more for the aircon to work, which brings on the orange light there. Distribution, so where you want it to go to, face, feet, screen, and then whether you want to bring fresh air in or recirculate air within the motorhome. You do have your head unit here, so it doesn't take a CD, so if you've got any CDs I would advise putting them onto your USB stick or your smart device and streaming it in that way. So you've got radio, which is FM, AM and DAB. Once you've found your favourite channels, you can press 1 to 6 and save them there. You can press media, which can be USB, auxiliary or Bluetooth audio. And then if you press phone, you can go to phone, connect phone. Find Uconnect on your smart device. Make sure the pins match. Once the pins match, press pair. Once you have paired the device, it will then ask you if you want to sync your contacts on your device. Press allow, and whoever rings will come up with a number should they be saved in your phone book, other than just a number and you don't know who you're answering the phone to. You've got info here. And you've got menu, so you've got your menu settings, so your Bluetooth, your system, your audio, and this is all explained in the handbook supplied with the motorhome. You've got a glove box here, which is heated and cooled by the air conditioning, so in the summer if the aircon's on, this is a great place to keep sweets and small bottles of water. And then you do have your main glove box there. And then if you want to turn the seats round into the back, you've got a lever here. So what you do is you'd pull the lever out. If the seat was to get stuck on the door, bring the seat forward and then turn it round into the rear. The driver's seat does exactly the same. We would like to thank you for watching this video. Should you have any questions about the Swift Distinction 664, which is a dealer special on the Swift Escape 664, please feel free to contact Tyne Valley Motorhomes on 01207 272 777 or email our sales team at sales@tynevalleymotorhomes.co.uk.